Well, hi, David. How are you? Good to see you again.
I'm good. This is Leonard.
Oh,
How
hello,
are
Leonard. I'm not so bad. Are you both coming to the conference?
you? Yeah, can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. Yeah, you keep
Yeah,
blurring
what are you
out a
doing
little
talking
bit.
to a dummy? What'd you
You want
say?
me? Am I
No,
the
I'm talking
dummy?
to you.
You keep fading out a bit.
Yeah, we're looking forward to coming to the conference. Yeah? Yeah. Where are we going?
Is
We're going to the UK. Yeah? You? Yeah.
is he coming with
You
you?
too?
Is he going to come with you?
Yeah, you're gonna join me for a wee nip?
Oh, well, that's about definite, isn't it? I think a large nip.
No, I don't. I'm gonna put you away now, okay? All right, we gotta talk about things. All right. Good to see
Is
you.
he not? Is he not coming with you though to the conference?
No, I don't know. We haven't figured that out yet.
No, man. David. Are you bringing David? I'll talk to you.
Oh, and I gotta bring him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he that?
All right,
That's
Neil. See
something.
you
Yeah, thanks for calling by.
later. What are you
What
doing?
was he?
Quiet. Well, yeah, I'm gonna at the conference. I'll do something.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, it's going to be good.
I haven't figured that out yet, but
Okay.
uh, yeah, we've been working on it. But I definitely will be doing some ventriloquism demonstrations while I'm there. So to try to give folks an idea as to possibly how these types of divinations and voice diffusions happened with the ancients. Ventriloquism was a religious uh, activity for centuries before it became an entertainment uh, activity. So that's primarily what we're going to be talking about at the conference, how these priests, how these divinatory individuals would create voices. And I'm not saying that it was necessarily a deception, but that was that idea of being channeled and by spirits from the other side coming through these various individuals was a practice that was fairly common.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound a bit because you imagine that it was actually uh, a voice from some sort of incarnate spirit or something. But are you saying that they were just kind of tending in some ways? It's like so if the spirit, if there was a statue speaking, say there was somebody stood behind it or
Well, there
throwing the
were
voice.
examples, yeah, there were examples of that um, where statues spoke, but they spoke through pneumatic tubes that were connected to the statues, and the priests were actually speaking through those tubes to the
Oh,
statues.
really?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
other side.
So there are examples of that, but there are also, for instance, Pythia at Delphi, the prophetess. She would be
Yeah, yeah.
uttering various sounds, and the priest would be interpreting it. And so I don't want to get too involved in all of
No,
that. I'll
we
be end
don't
up
want to.
doing my entire presentation online with
Yeah, yeah.
you.
It is that the Delphi one that's in. But anyway, we'll go back. Let's go back. Because
All
it's
right,
meet
I'm
David
sorry,
time.
we got crazy here for a minute. Go
We're
ahead. You
straight
want to
straight
you want to
into the
find out
kill,
about
don't we? Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know you don't like to. But well, we've known each other for a few years, haven't we?
We
Don't
have.
think
Yeah, I've taken some marvelous tours with you. I remember the first time we went to Scotland. I see that picture behind you. It's familiar. No,
Hellenish.
yeah.
There it is,
And
yeah.
we had a marvelous megalithic tour throughout Scotland. When was that? Do you remember?
I was trying to think. I mean, so you've done three. Was it one a year? So because there was a break because of the lockdowns and everything. So it's all
Yeah,
got
it
a
was
little.
before the lockdown for sure. Yeah.
So it must be about 5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah. Are you still doing that tour?
I don't go up there. I'll do it again at some point. You know, like when you get to over 60, driving all the way to the top of Scotland with those windy roads, just don't fancy it anymore. When I was 40, 20 years ago, it didn't seem too bad, but I just don't fancy it.
Well,
Tiring
just
the
think what
long
it's
way.
like. Just think what it's like being over 60 and having to ride with you.
Well, I don't. In fact, you were sat next to me, weren't you? Driving up there,
Ah,
remembering, thinking, oh, I've got. And then I had to stop for 10 minutes just to kind of get my head together a bit, and then
so then
uh,
then we took a
I
Cathar tour
thought, yeah,
in
mm,
France. Now you've
mm.
done a book on that, haven't you?
I've got two. I've got the original Cathar Country book, and then
Yeah.
got one that came out this year, which is Beranger Saunier, Priest Wizard of Rennes-le-Château, which I'll give you a copy at the conference because that's all like an up to date thoughts about how Sonia got his money. Because
Well, I
people
want to
seem
know
to,
if you have you found his money yet?
I think I'm trying to figure out how he did it, and then I can do it. I think the Knights Templar did the same thing. Solomon did the same thing, and it's like a tradition, and they keep finding whatever it was which enables them
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
But I'm still on the hunt for that one. But no, the Qatar tour was. I think you enjoyed that. It was a good week, wasn't it? Took over a week.
It was a marvelous tour, particularly being in southern France. I had never been before, and just a marvelous area of the country for sure. And it's really interesting for me because I remember when we stopped. I still remember this very distinctly. I remember when we stopped at the cave that was supposed to be the cave that Mary Magdalene lived in.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that was that was quite a profound experience for me. There was a certain amount of energy that was happening in that cave. And
Yeah.
would you agree with that?
Well, yeah, there's something. I mean, the whole area, but particularly, especially something that resonates with you. But there's something about everywhere in that. That's there's just something in the atmosphere. The whole place has a
Well, sure.
spiritual.
And the same thing with the megalithic tour when we were in Scotland, we would go to these sites and there was always some kind of energy that was happening with those stones and it was always interesting to me because that you would always see a lot of these stones and particularly the seats that were facing the east and
Oh
and
yeah,
that idea of circumambulating has been with us, in various processions and ceremonies. The idea of circumambulating around these things has been something that's carried up to the present time now. So it's interesting that we draw on our history so much.
yeah. Things just continue down through the time. I mean, that thing about the east with the sun rising and the equinoxes is it's so powerful. I mean, it's still a powerful thing today. I mean, most people just let it go by and don't even think about it. But I think there's
Well,
something
a
about
lot
the
of a
yeah.
lot of the a lot of the Masonic ceremonies still
Mm,
practice circumambulation, and they have their seating is in the east, and they relate it to King Solomon's temple.
yes,
So,
yes.
so it's really a lot of ancient stuff that
Mm.
we had an opportunity to see, and you can translate it and apply it to today, modern day, what we're doing today.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, nothing changes. It's just a case of interpreting it, really. What did what did you think about the whole Sonia mystery and everything when you were there?
Fascinating. Just,
Yeah, that's it is.
you the whole idea of buried treasure. How can you not be fascinated
Yeah.
about that?
Is he
And you
buried
right
treasure?
away, right away you get there and you start thinking about, all right, how can I find this? How did this happen? And the towers and all of that stuff is just pretty
So
fascinating.
fascinating stuff, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the last one was the latest was last year, wasn't it? We went to Sardinia.
Another another absolutely, I was thinking about it this morning, what an absolutely amazing tour that was. And I was in anything that has mystery connected to it is always enthralling to me. The idea of the giants' tombs
And they were
was
huge, weren't they?
just amazing. And it's kind of like folks say the pyramids are only what 3,000 years old. Well, I don't think so. I think they're a lot older than that. And like folks are saying, yeah, we called them giants too, but there were no giants. Well, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
yeah. I'll tell you what a really weird thing that I was I mean, Albia is a wonderful town, isn't it? Where we stay. And I remember sitting outside most nights just watching the world go by. And there are some tall, really, nearly 7 foot tall guys just walking around. And whether it's just me, I don't know, but I'm thinking, that guy's a giant, who's just like a little bit smaller. Well, there's some huge guys.
Well, yes, but you talk about sitting around in a square and having dinner most nights
Yeah,
and a wee nip here and there.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Marvelous experience.
It
That
was,
was
wasn't it? We
wonderful
found, I
food.
mean, Albury is like a really beautiful little town centre. It's very Italian, but very Sardinian, really, I suppose. And there's like loads and loads of restaurants, aren't there? There's a square where you can sit and just have a beer, and they bring you peanuts and all sorts of things. And we found some really, well, Cheryl found the restaurants for us, really, didn't she? But she found some amazing places to eat.
Well, it's not. The other thing that was interesting to me is that it was not a real tourist destination, was it?
No, it seems to be a tourist destination for maybe just for some Italians from some area, and just for people from Sardinia.
It was marvelous. I still have really good memories about it, and I'm looking forward to you. In fact, if you could, enlighten me now, we're going to do the Lake District tour with you after the conference. What can I expect to see?
Well, the thing about the Lake District is it's kind of one of those epicenters for megalithic tours, and well, I know it so well because it's kind of it's where I was brought up in that area. So it's just about an hour up the road, really, not even that. So there's loads of stone circles like Castle Rig and the really amazing ones. Castle Rig, Swinside, my favourite stone circle anyway, and Longmeg and the Daughters. And there's all sorts of other little historic things kind of around the edge of the national park. The ancient stuff is incredible. There's the stone circles, and there's other historic things with different time periods, which you can slot in. I mean, there's more than enough for the 4 days, isn't it? There's more than enough to cover for 4 days, so we can choose. You'll enjoy it. It's
Do you have any slots that are still open?
two,
Two.
yeah, two left.
All
So
right,
anybody
folks.
out there who wants
But
another, it's
you got to join this tour. You got to join this tour.
going to be great. Yeah, I mean, of all the tours we go, this is the one. This is the area I know because it's my early stomping ground, really. In the early
Yeah.
days, I used to do mountaineering. Can't imagine terribly looking at a mountain now, but I used to take groups up mountains and walking in the fells and everything. So I've known this area all my life, and I think it was the second book I wrote. So it would be fantastic. Come and join us. There's only two places left, but let's hope
Yeah,
those
no, I
two
mean,
fill
if
in.
those folks that are listening right now, if you've never been on a tour with Neil, you're missing something because we keep coming back and back and back all the time.
Yeah.
You're going to be running out of things to do with us.
Oh no, there's 20 odd tours, and I'll make new ones up. And you come all the way from Minneapolis, don't you?
Yeah, Minnesota is the center of north center of America. We are right next to the Canadian border. So yeah, it's we're coming all the way from Minnesota, and I am really looking forward to this conference. Actually, I'm also looking forward to listen to hearing your talk.
Well, yeah, well, mine is a kind of what we've done over the last few years is we've made a film. So I've made a film about Boulanger Saunier book, around the
Yeah.
Chateau book. So I've got we'll do an hour's film. I'll show that first, and then myself and Thomas Sheridan will do question and answers on the book because he was my co-author on the book. So that'll be the first hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Um, so it's the first time I've actually made the film. So it's like fingers crossed that it goes down well. Because usually Thomas has done it, and he's a lot better at these things than I am. So I hope I've gone through the whole story, and I hope yeah, it's a bit groundbreaking what the way we've done it.
Yeah, it's going to
In
be fun to
terms of,
revisit all of that too, for sure.
yeah, and thinking of some easy questions to ask me because
Oh,
sometimes something comes from left field.
I'm in the same position, you know. Think of easy questions to ask me.
You can pretend it's somebody else answering. So I know you're about. I looked on the map. You're about 150 miles from the Great Lake Superior.
Lake Superior is really a big lake.
Yeah, it looks like a
And
sea.
they say that if you were to drain Lake Superior, that the entire United States would be covered in about 3 or 4 feet of water.
Really? Wow.
Now,
That
America is
is a
really a
sea.
big country. That's a lot of
That's a
water.
that's a sea, isn't it? That's a massive sea.
It is. It is. And it acts like a sea. It is affected by it has tides. It's affected by the moon.
Wow.
Uh it it's it's really big and deep.
Yeah, well, it's got to be, hasn't it?
It's
Uh,
really it's very rugged. There aren't any beaches to speak of. It was carved out by the glaciers. Believe it or not, and don't quote me on this, but I think that there are over 300 shipwrecks in
really?
Superior. Yeah,
Wow, wow. That's
yeah.
amazing.
It can get to be a pretty mean lake.
Anyway, we're supposed to be talking about David.
Yeah,
So
go
it's
ahead. Let's not
um
talk too much.
about lakes. Um, so you were brought up in a family of musicians because you're not only a ventriloquist at all, you're a musician, big style as well, are you? You said so you brought up your family were all musicians as well.
My father was a professional accordionist.
Oh, right.
I mean, think about it. He raised a family of 3 boys playing the accordion. Now, he was
Oh,
an
that's
extraordinary musician. He uh, played for a number of presidents, was guest soloed with a number of orchestras, played for the King of Sweden. Uh, he was he was uh, he
yeah.
was very astute. But anyway, I grew up under that influence, and I played the accordion for well, I still do noodle around on it, but I played it for a number of years when I was young and competed in contests around the country. But when the folk revival came to America in the 60s, I became fairly enthralled with the guitar. And I ended up during the Vietnam War, I was drafted into military service. And I ended up
The
joining the
Navy,
pardon me?
the Navy.
Yes, I ended up joining the Navy, and I was shipped to Spain. And I spent 3 years in Spain, and I just fell in love with the guitar, and I studied classical guitar in Spain. And I was there. I studied while I was in the military, and then when I was discharged, I took a local discharge in Spain and stayed another couple of years in Spain and studied the guitar. I came back to America, and I have been performing ever since. I've recorded, I don't know, maybe 15 albums. You can get that on Spotify. And and so I'm still very actively involved with music. Yes.
So your shows are well, yeah. So your shows are a mixture of. I mean, I've listened to your music; it's fantastic, wonderful. So you're singing, and it's the uh, guitar playing, and the ventriloquism all
I do
in
all of
one
it.
act.
Yeah. And I have in my ventriloquist show, Well, it's really interesting about this. Let me just say this. I do a
Yeah,
lot of I do a lot of different things. I sing, I play the guitar, I'm a ventriloquist. When I was in Spain, I had the idea of being a concert guitarist. And then I began to realize that there were a lot of other things in life that I wanted to do. And that if I were to be a concert guitarist, I would have to devote my total life to doing that with to the exclusion of everything else. So I came back to the United States and decided that I want to do these other things, and it's been a full life as a result of it. I have the opportunity. I travel and perform with the ventriloquist show, but there's also a lot of music in that show as well. So I play the guitar in the show. I sing a few songs, and I've been able to utilize my talents under one umbrella, so to speak.
yeah.
So
And got written down here 36 years you've been performing. Got some facts, you see, only a couple. And about 125 gigs a year.
yeah, it
Yeah,
used
it's
to be
still
that
going.
way until it has really changed society, you know. I used to work fairly regularly, and I still do. I still do tours during the year, but it's not as busy as it used to be because of
Not
I
supposed to
don't
say
know.
that,
I don't know
mate.
what you've experienced in England, but I do. I do a lot of what we call corporate shows, business to
Yeah,
business,
yeah.
and that market hasn't really come back yet. Have you found that that's similar in England or no?
I think obviously immediately after the whole thing finished, I it took a while and then it sprung back and now it's pretty much the same. But actually it's not the same. It feels different.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like there's different people. A lot of people haven't come back and new people come in, but the whole atmosphere is different. I don't really can't really put my finger on what it is. It's like harder now. It got to the point where, things were just great. People were booking all the time, didn't really have to do much advertising, but I do now. It's like
yeah.
going back a few years. It's not the same free feeling. I think that's generally everywhere, whether it's just me, I don't know.
It's the same thing over here. Yeah, we don't have any work. Quiet. And it's the same thing here.
But you're keeping going well. I mean, not 125 performances, but
Yeah, no, I mean I'm still, I'm still performing for sure and I'll keep doing it until the phone stops ringing. So
yeah, yeah.
really it's really, if I can wax philosophic here,
Hmm.
uh,
Please do.
I the power of choice in life is amazing. The the idea there are so many people that are what did Thoreau say? So many people living lives of despair.
Mhm.
And we only have one go around here, or at least some think that. But the idea of making the choice to do what you want to do in life. I mean, you do that.
Oh,
You want to do
absolutely.
these
Yeah,
tours, you want to study these things, and so
yeah.
sometimes it's difficult from a financial standpoint. It's difficult to do that, but it is so much more fulfilling to make choices in life that bring you, where you're doing what you feel you should be doing in life.
I think it's that thing that the Eastern religions call Dharma, and that Alex de Crowley called the will. So you need to find the way that your will fits in with the will of this existence that we're in, and then follow that. And if anybody can find that, and you've obviously found yours, and I think I found mine doing what I'm doing, and then it will flow, and then it brings a certain amount of happiness. There's also a lot of challenges along the way, but how do you grow if you don't get challenged? You just carry on doing.
Well, it's all about learning. It's all about growing. I think, it's all about destiny as well. And it's important to make those decisions in your life so that you put yourself in a place where you feel that you're doing what you're intended to do.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's how you then grow. It's a bit
Yeah.
like as I see it, the central pillar of the three pillars, and you want to be going up that pillar as much as you can to either side, but generally be going up, you know. And think if you find your own dark old dharma, your own will, then you'll go up, you'll grow as a person, growing wisdom, growing whatever. That's the way I see it. It works for me, you know.
Yeah, I agree. So what
And
else you
you,
got there?
well, on my little list of things, um, well, what about your Western mystery training? Now, I did mine, as you know, in a sort of Western mystery school, and you joined an order. I don't know whether you want to talk about that or not.
Uh, are you talking about my training?
About your mystical training, yes.
Yeah, I studied what you would call esoteric philosophy, I suppose. And in a nutshell, it's not your mainstream westernized philosophy, Plato, Socrates, so on and so
Mm,
forth, but it has more to do with studying, for instance, the mystery schools in Egypt.
mhm.
How a lot of that thought process and those documents made their way to Italy and started the Renaissance with the Medici, and then, moved into Europe. You mentioned Crowley or John Dees or some of these individuals or Madame Blavatsky. We're talking about those esoteric schools that found their way to America eventually and manifest themselves in many different ways, even in our own society today. I'll be talking about that a little bit at the conference as well.
Yeah,
So
because
it's a great area of interest for me, for sure, because it's
it is
all,
for me. We kind of share that interest.
yeah,
It's been
yeah.
very important to me.
It's extremely important to me because I think that, there is an underlying truth that has managed to make its way through the centuries and coming down to our own day. And that area that really fascinates me. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's kind of universal truths, really, isn't it? That we went. It's if we went. We took a well, we've taken many long turns as civilization, but one of them was to move away from relying on universal truths of this place, this thing we live in, and they seem to. It's basically that is the thing that we go back to. That we and you have gone back to, isn't it?
well, you're asking me to talk off the cuff here. It's tough. I think that I think the idea of universal truth is really curious to me. That there have been so many conflicts actually that have existed between legitimate Western thought and these mystery schools that have continued to exist. And so it always fascinates me that, for instance, there was a huge battle between the Gnostics and the Christians, for instance, the Catholic Church. And in history, the Gnostics lost that battle, and they ended up burying all of their writings that we call
Nagamari.
The Nag Hammadi writings, and that stuff has only come into our consciousness in the 20th century. And you think about how long those writings have been buried, and it's obvious that there were different schools of thought. Uh, there were different spiritual schools of thought that existed in parallel with the legitimate religions that have come down to us today. And it's the former that actually fascinates me.
Yeah,
So
and that's exactly the same with me. It's like there is a certain body of truth. It shows itself every now and then throughout history. It's always there, but it's always down beneath the surface. For I suppose the main reason is that It had to be because they look at the Catholics. I think they were following, and the Knights Templar following in this direction. In the end, they got destroyed. And it's like anybody who seems to, it's like, I don't know. I wonder whether the powers, the real powers of be, the very wealthy, high elite, have these secrets to a certain extent. Well, they don't want anybody else to have it, so they introduce a different religion or something to for the masses. Because if
Do you
it's
think
so
that,
powerful,
yeah, you mentioned the Knights Templar. Do you think that the Templars ended up north in into England? Do you think that the Templars came north into well, Scotland actually?
well, they definitely were in England. Yeah, there's loads of temple places you can go and visit all around
Yeah.
England. I mean, they were a pan-European organisation, and well, the thing about it, definitely Scotland, that's what they fled to, and other places. But the, I'm 100% sure that they weren't Catholic. They weren't of the Orthodox Church. I think they were hiding. They had this true knowledge, which I think they got from underneath Solomon's temple when they went to raid the temple. Well, they went to not raid the temple, to dig beneath the temple, and so that knowledge was hidden there. They had it, and that knowledge is the same knowledge that we're speaking of. So in the end, they had to be done away with.
Well, there's a direct connection, uh, at least mythologically, with the Templars and the Masons today.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, isn't it? When the Scottish Rite, I mean, um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I believe there's a real connection. Well, you know better than me.
Well, there's no, I don't think I would, but but there is there's some history there of the connection with the Templars and how those ceremonies that the Templars practiced and carried from Jerusalem to where they ended up in Scotland, that was then translated to what became Masonry formally in the 1700s. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the way it carried on through. Yeah, because it's still the same teaching. Obviously, I suppose most Masons have forgotten the beginning, all this stuff that comes fading away, and it's just a lad's light out. But down at the fundamental center of it, I think it's this secret that the Templars had.
Yeah, I agree. So there's a lot of mysteries out there, aren't there?
Yeah, and
That's
we're going
why
to solve them all on
that's why
the
you have
7th and
the
8th of September. It's the Serious Earth Conference. Yeah, so
yeah,
that's a
mysterious. Go ahead.
Serious Earth Conference. And I mean, it's so great that you're going to come all the way from Minneapolis, all the way
Well,
just for a
we're taking a
conference.
tour with you too, so that's that's
Yeah,
that's that's a bonus. I get to come and have the opportunity. It's been really fun putting together this presentation, and it's given me an opportunity to take some of these ideas that I'm going to be presented at the conference and putting them under a single umbrella.
yeah,
And it was been fun for me to do that, and I'm looking forward to coming and of course doing the tour.
yeah. It's going to be great. Well, I think we've pretty much got to know you a bit better now, and that'll do for now. I think we've covered everything. Unless there's anything else you'd like to throw in at the end.
Not today. It's always a good opportunity to see your ugly face, Neil.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, I think so. So, with that, um, conference is 7th and 8th of September at St. on Sea. You can get all the information on www.megalithic.tours.com. Just find the conference at the click. So, and I've put a connection to your tour of America.
I just finished an album called North.
That might be it. That might be it. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I just released it just about 2 weeks ago. It's an album called North. You can find it on YouTube. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Music. It's yeah, it's streaming all over the world right now. So
Well,
yeah,
I'll put a link to it anyway beneath whatever it is beneath your bit on the conference page. So click that, and you can listen to David doing his musicians bit, and it's absolutely wonderful. So I think we'll leave it at that, and hope to see. Well, I'll see you at the conference, and hope to see all you lot at the conference too. Try to get your tickets. So, bye for now.
look forward to it.